Hey there, Trisha with Upcycled Stuff. Today I'm going to show you how to make these flowers out of old clothes. You can see in there that I have some denim made from old jeans. I've used t-shirts and some scrap fabric from other projects. But the basic principle behind this is stacking yo-yos on top of one another. So if you've never made a yo-yo, I'll show you how, and then I'll show you how to assemble these flowers. And I've basically used a vintage button to keep them all together. But let's get started. The supplies that you'll need to make one flower are a variety of circles. I've just cut mine out of like a ice cream box, and I've cut a variety of sizes, 2-inch, 3-inch, and 4-inch. Keep in mind when you're making your circles that the end product will end up being about half the size of your original circle, and I'll show you the difference in a minute. But you'll need some patterns. You'll need one floral pick and a straw, and this will help you make your stem, plus some floral tape. You'll need something to sew with. If you're using denim, I recommend using an embroidery floss over thread, but if you're using thinner fabric, t-shirt or scrap, cotton fabric, this is fine. You'll need 2 needles, one that fits your sewing material, and then you'll need another one that's thick enough to fit the piece of wire on your floral pick through it. You'll need the fabric that you're gonna cut with. I'll use denim for the purposes of this video, a pair of scissors, and something to mark on your fabric with. You can use a pen or a pencil. This happens to be a water-soluble marker that is supposed to disappear on fabric, but really the mark is going to be on the inside of your flower, so it's not a big deal if it's pen or pencil, so long as it doesn't show through. And then the last thing you'll need is a button of your choice. I have a stock of buttons. I have vintage buttons that have come with all those, the pants and the shirts that get attached to the tag for extras that no one ever uses. So find a button or even a bead if you want to use that for the center of your flower. So here's one of my vintage buttons, but you could use a bead as well. Okay, when you're picking your fabrics for your different circles, let me just show you what happens to your fabric so that you can pick well. So here's a 4-inch circle that I've been using. This denim fabric here is the finished product at the end. It also has a very wide opening because of the fabric that you're using. It doesn't gather very tightly. So if you're using something thinner, this outer circumference of the large flower will be even smaller. So that's the 4-inch one. The 2-inch, here's the 3-inch, and this is using t-shirt. Again, it doesn't gather all the way, but it gathers up pretty close, and it's just about half the size. And then finally, this is the 2-inch. And here's the difference between the fabric. So I have t-shirt here and I have just a regular cotton fabric. It's the same exact pattern, and you see the difference in the size. I also want to show you that when you're using a thicker fabric, if you're going to have this on the top of your flower, like this here, you're going to make sure you have a button that's big enough that's going to cover up that entire hole. If you have thin fabric, it really gathers nicely. So I tend to use the nicer, thinner fabric on my top layer so you don't see all the open gaps. Okay, enough about all that. Let's get started. Okay, so I'm using the top pair of a pair of jeans that I used for another project. That's sort of the idea behind making these yo-yos, is that you can use all your scrap fabrics to make them. So let's flip this over to the wrong side of the pants so that whatever marker you're using doesn't show through on your yo-yo. So just lay down your pattern and mark it out. It's going to be kind of hard to see. I should have chosen a lighter color, sorry guys, but you get the picture. Okay, and then take your scissors and cut it. So I decided today that I would let my dog lay next to me while I'm doing this tutorial. If you haven't noticed yet, he's fallen asleep. I think he has a bit of sleep apnea. He snores a lot. And I decided not to be one of those YouTube people who gets all freaked out about the different noises and you know what, that's just who I am. I have animals and I love having them around, so if they make noise, I'm sorry. Alright. Alright, so once your circle is cut out, okay, so circle cut out. Okay, so once your circle is cut out, you're going to fold over just a manageable portion of the outer circle, maybe like 1/4 of an inch. It's not a perfect science, and I certainly, you'll probably see I won't keep it perfect all the way around. The thing I like about this fabric is, or this pattern, is that it's pretty forgiving. So if your circle's not perfect, if your hem gets out of control, not too out of control, but a little anyway, the flower will still look nice in the end. So you're basically gonna do a stitch. There's actually 2 different size stitches you can use. If you do a tight stitch, you'll end up with a larger opening in the center of your yo-yo. If you do a longer stitch, which actually gets done quicker, you end up with a smaller hole in the center of your yo-yo. Jean's not the best fabric to demonstrate that on, but I'm going to do a long stitch because it goes quicker. So just poke through here. This is the easiest way for me to do this. And then poke through here and push your fabric down your needle. Make sure you tuck over enough, fold over enough fabric. Poke it through again, come back up. See, those are pretty long stitches. And then come back up. And then when you have enough on there, go ahead and pull your thread all the way through. And I am using embroidery floss on this because it's a little bit thicker and it won't break when you're cinching it together in the end. Now, a lot of people might show you how to make yo-yos and tell you keep your fabric flat like this and just go in and out and in and out. I actually don't like to have a really long thread that ends up getting wasted in the end after you cinch it, so I keep mine cinched as I'm going around. Either way, whatever works best for you. If this gets to be too cumbersome, you can open it up or just keep it sort of loosely done. But go ahead and go around your entire yo-yo. And this is the 3-inch one I think that I'm doing here. And pull that through. And then just keep going till you get to the end. Okay, once you get all the way to the end, you'll see that you have this sort of drawstring pouch looking thing. Go ahead and pull your string until your pouch completely cinches closed, as much as it will anyway. Like I said, with denim, it's not the best fabric. So now you have your closed pocket on top. You're gonna go ahead and squish it down. And as you go, pull out the pieces of denim so that it looks like a flower. And keep squishing so that that lays flat. And once you're happy with the way it looks and you're sure that you don't need to pull or loosen that string anymore, you can go ahead and tie it off. I don't worry too much about hiding it so much inside, especially on, well, actually on all of them, because they're all going to have something on top of them. Just tie it off like you would normal thread. Make a little knot. And if I weren't doing a video tutorial, I probably wouldn't be using yellow thread either, so that would, if I used blue, it would help disguise the thread a little bit more, but give it a good knot and cut it off. And then just tuck it down inside. And that's how you make a yo-yo. So you'll make enough pieces in different sizes to make your flower. Let's go ahead and do that. I think I'm going to use, I have a smaller pink one here. This one's really cute, right? And then we'll pick a button. Okay, once you have your button picked out, obviously you want to make sure that it fits over the top hole completely. Then you're going to take this needle that has the larger eye on it, so that you can thread through your floral pick, the wire on your floral pick. Just go ahead and stick it in there a little bit, about that far, and then bend the metal over. You want to be careful and make sure that that tail stays straight, otherwise it can get caught up when you thread it through your fabric. All right, so for the time being, go ahead and remove your button. Keep everything lined up this way. And then you're going to take your needle and stick it through the back of the very last layer of the flower, the largest layer. And then poke it up through the center of, the 2 or 3, however many layers you're putting on your flower. All the way through and pull it. And especially with denim, it's going to give you a hard time going through. You got to manhandle it and make sure that it didn't come undone like mine just did. Hang on. Now I have a kink. Let's hope it goes through. Alright, so you pull it through so that on the back it looks like this. Okay, flip it over, get everything lined up again because it's sure to have moved, and pop your button on. Stick the needle through one of the holes. Make sure it looks nice. And then you're going to stick your needle through if there's more than 2 holes, you'll pick the diagonal hole. If it's just 2 holes, then stick it through the second hole. And then all the way through your fabric. And pull. Pull nice and tight. Make sure everything looks good on the front. Now at this point, if you wanted to try to come back up through both of the layers and do another diagonal stitch, you can do that. And I think I did that on one of my flowers. Yeah, this one here. So you can see that there's, well, maybe you can see it goes across twice, but in all my other flowers that had 4 holes, I've only gone across once because of a really hard time finding where that hole is through all the fabric. So it's up to you. If you decide not to, just go ahead at this point and take your wire out of the thread, out of the needle. And then you're going to take it and wrap it around this stick. So I'm basically going to slide it between the fabric and the stick and give it a little tug. Not too tight because it'll mess up your flower. You can do that a couple times. And then the rest of it I'm just going to lay down here. One more time, do a little quality check. Alright, looks good. So I'm actually just going to take the rest of this wire and wrap it around this pick here just to get it out of the way. Now we need to make the stem. You're going to go ahead and take your straw. Anyone guess where this one's from? Starbucks. But any straw will do. It doesn't have to be green because you're going to cover it with floral tape. Then just make a slice all the way up your straw. Okay, once you have your straw cut up the center, you're going to stick the pick just a little ways into your straw. And we need to get things sort of started before we get everything into place. So just hold your straw so that it's about midway on the pick and start twisting the bottom of the straw so that it gets tighter on the pick itself. And just watch for little bubbles to happen between the layers. Make sure the layers kind of stay where they're supposed to stay. This one's going to give me a hard time. There we go. Alright, so you've got this little overlap now. Okay, grab your floral tape. Which I should have pulled off of here before I got everything done. There we go. Alright. So once again, get it tightened and into place, and then you're going to take the floral tape and just wrap it around just to keep it started in a tighter position because we don't want the straw to come off. Okay. Now before you get too far, make sure you've got the remainder of it twisted. Now you can take that out just so it's easier to work with. but you want to make sure it's not quite snug because you still need to slip the wire in here, but you want it to be not too thin either. Then take off a longer piece here and keep wrapping. And if you use your hand down here to twist the straw around, it will automatically tighten things up for you as you wrap the floral tape around it. So I'm gonna just take off another little piece. And if you've never worked with floral tape before, it's not like super sticky, but it sticks to itself really well. You don't worry about, you know, cutting it and making it look perfect or anything. When you get to the bottom, you can just sort of wrap it a little bit further and then fold it up on itself. And it should lay flat. If you need to add another little piece of tape on top of it, you can, just to hold that down. I think I'm working with some older tape, so it's lost some of its stick, but there we go. All right, now that you have your whole stick wrapped, you can slide your floral pick back in and hope and pray that you left enough room on the straw, which of course I didn't. There we go. Just had to jimmy it a bit. Alright, slide it up as far as you can. And then you're going to take some more tape and slip it behind the top part above that wire. On the end so you can wrap it here. And then wrap it over your wire and then under the straw underneath where the wire is. This will help keep the straw attached to the floral pick. Might not be pretty, but you can go back and fix it in a minute. Just try to get it anchored right now. And try not to twist like I just did, because you'll break your tape. You just want to get your tape around without twisting the straw. There we go. Once you have your taped areas connected, you can go back and flatten this out, add more tape if you feel like it's not quite a sturdy bond, which I'm going to do right here. There we go. And at this point you should be able to flip your entire flower if your tape is taped in place, instead of trying to wiggle the tape around the straw. Okay. And then one last little bit of tucking and pinching just to make it look a little nicer. Now if you want to, you can leave it straight like this. It looks kind of like a lollipop flower. Or you can work it a little bit, loosen up that wire a little underneath so that it stands up a little bit more away from your stick. However you'd like. And then if you're handy with floral tape or any kind of maybe adding leaves or something, you're welcome to cut out some leaves and add them to your flower vase. And there you have it.